understanding and utilising the power of the brain help us reach our goals?
It's a question that I think makes us become aware of the changes, the insights that we now have from various areas. So let's take neuroscience, for example. It gives us valuable insights about how we can do things in a more facilitated way. It makes that phrase, do things with ease, make sense. And so, approaching change, optimization programs, development programs, integrating our greatest asset, the brain, the insights that we have, knowing that the things we thought we didn't have control of, that we actually can be more active, proactive in how we behave, in how we decide, in the choices. They're not just random. We're not just, victims of our brain, but that we can actually step into being the CEOs of our brains, knowing what is happening, what is happening, what is the science behind this state a person is in. If someone doesn't feel motivated, there's a science behind that. If you want to motivate people, if you want to influence people, there's a science behind that. If people need more well-being, it's not enough to just say, have a nice cup of tea and relax, but that there is a science behind being mindful. And so that is the importance of integrating brain awareness. It makes things easier. It makes us more proactive and less of victims and more victors in more it gives us more responsibility. It makes us take more responsibility for the outcomes we send out there into the world.
There was something within that you said that I just want to sort of pull out of you a little bit more, because I think it was really interesting. That concept of well-being. Can you explain that in relation to neuroagility?
Neuroagility is all about the state of your mind, your ability to think on your feet, to respond rather than react, to be able to adapt to change as it occurs to you. And for everything that you are able to do, let's think of high performers, people like Usain Bolt. Let's think of the whole, the astronauts, the pilots, doctors. Think of all these people that have to really focus on what they're doing, who have to make decisions quickly, who can't go home and say, I'll think about it. Now, our brains have to be in a certain state for that to be done with ease, for you to think with ease. If you are exhausted, and I'm sure you've experienced it, you didn't sleep well 3 nights in a row, and on the 4th day, you need to be focused. You need to really be on top of your act, but you're exhausted. I'm sure you've experienced it, that you're just going to be slow. Everything will just seem a struggle. Everything will feel more difficult than it actually is. And automatically, because you know that things are not working well, you end up feeling frustrated, right? Then comes all the arrays of emotions that put you down because you're making mistakes, errors. So it does show us that the state of our brain, we are able to influence, impact our brains in such a way that the brain serves us. So it starts with get enough sleep. There are drivers. We've got these drivers that actually help you to boost your brain the way it is, no matter how it's wired, whatever your neurodesign. Sleep, brain foods, hydration, movement, attitude. Think of it if you slouch and try and think of something positive. That's going to be very difficult. But if you sit up, head high, you breathe, your feet on the floor, you've put yourself in a state, just that body, mind, brain connection in such a way that you feel better. And that's just a little strategy. So when it comes to well-being, of course, there are 1,000 things that you can do. There's the mindfulness strategies, meditation, a whole range of things that you can do. We can be proactive in making sure that we optimize our brain. We put our brains in such a state that they release the chemicals that are so good for the brain, because we can't stock them up in a jerry and say, oh, I'm just going to have a little sip. Behavior, the actions, release the chemicals. So you want to feel good, that means your brain must be releasing dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin. It's so important. It is connected. You know how it is when you watch TV for 10 hours without a break? What felt exciting at the beginning, at some point, feels very draining. So you see that your behavior, that thing that you are doing, impacts how your brain feels, how your brain starts to react or respond. If you start feeling agitated, could it be that there is something you need to change in what you're doing? Our well-being, I would say well-being is a verb, it's not only a noun. There are things that you need to do so that you feel well. There's more within our control than we sometimes act.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. All right. So my next question for you is this. What are the benefits of investing in the brain and how can it lead to success?
I used to love anything that had the word development in it. I found it fantastic. Development, growth. I'd buy anything that just, colorful books, read it, self-help, fantastic. And I was so motivated. And I'd go to conferences where you just feel so like, this is it. I'm going to turn my life around.
Yeah.
I'm sure many can relate. I've taken down notes and then felt like I'm going to go home, I'm going to rewrite it, I'm going to enlarge it and hang it on the wall. And somehow I forget about these notebooks and I don't enlarge it. And actually, I don't even remember where I put these books. And that motivation just flies out the window. And I'm not improved in any form other than that initial motivation that I had at a certain moment due to the dopamine rushing through my body. But if I am honest, I never felt that I had improved anything. I never felt that I could reactivate that same energy, motivation, the vibe, the flow to turn things around. And it took doing work, studying, exploring, talking to great teachers, great mentors, to find out that we as humans have an amazing asset, the brain. And that whether we do resourceful things or we do unresourceful things, as we know, let's not pretend, if you're not aware of your brain, if you don't exercise your power of choice with attention and intention and reflection and sort of a kind of not only me kind of approach to things, but me and you and others, you will find that you may do things you don't want to do that you regret later, or you can say, wow, I had that as an option, but I did something else. And that's beautiful to know that we can really be more powerful in ourselves. When we do things with an awareness of what is happening right now. If I'm leading people and I feel that there is something wrong, isn't it amazing that I know that, okay, right now, what state are their brains in? Do they feel psychologically safe? Why did that person not come and ask me the question directly? Why did that person go to someone else to ask the question? You can ask more informed questions that actually help you with better results. But when we do things with guesswork, guessing, maybe that's the problem. Not based on facts, not science-based. What happens is that there's a lot of guessing and we may go wrong. That's the reason why investing in the brain, for just like we invest in a house and we invest in new furniture and new clothes and all the nice tangible things, there's that intangible part. Being able to empathize, being able to allow in others what you allow in yourself starts with brain awareness. And that's so beautiful. It's an investment that, sometimes people don't talk about emotions. I think that people should be emotionally intelligent. It is a skill. Nobody is born emotionally intelligent. And that's the great thing, that you can learn things about your brain. And with that information, you can improve things, you can enhance things, you can optimize things, you can make better choices. And that's just the reason why today, with all the information we have, it would be such a pity to waste time doing things without the brain in mind.
Can I just pick up on something you said there? Because it was about, you were talking about like the intuition in the room and reading the room. Can gaining insight from neuroagility actually help leaders read the room effectively?
So neuroagility gives you insights about yourself.
Right.
I would say understanding the brain, what is happening in the different, is it in the PFC, the prefrontal cortex, in the limbic system, the emotional brain, or in the brain stem. Knowing what is happening there in yourself means that you will be able to understand what may be happening in others. So that insight definitely helps you to understand that no behavior you observe, no reaction you observe is random. And then if you have developed emotional skills, that just adds on to being able to relate. So there's a whole combination. There are a number of things that are necessary. It's all about being able to step out of that idea that this is how I am, this is how I believe I am, so everybody else is like that. Because if that's the approach, you will have difficulties in reading the room. But with the insights, you understand that people do not approach things in the same way. For example, we talk in neuroagility, we can see what is your figurative language. How do you approach change? Are you more strategic? Are you analytic? Are you more the doer? Are you more the counselor? There are different parts. Like you always have a direction you go first. Are you left brain dominant? Are you right brain dominant? I mean, that doesn't mean that we don't use all our brain, but in periods of stress or new situations, the dominant one takes the lead. Remember, the brain is survival by all means and save energy. Take the fastest known path. That's the reason why sometimes we have these habits that we can't get rid of, because it's easy for the brain. Why? The brain is like, why should I stress myself when it's not necessary? Do you know what I mean? So being able to read the room, understand people, relate to people, and sort of use your intuition also with the information. It starts with understanding what is going on. What does it mean to have empathy? What does it mean to allow in others what you allow in yourself, and vice versa?
I
So
love
I
that.
hope that helps.
Yeah, definitely. So just picking up on that again, another thread
Mhm.
that's really important there is, can you tell me a bit more about what a neuroagility profile can tell us about ourselves and how that can inform change for us in the future?
Yeah, I love that question a lot. So, the insights that we get from the neuroagility when you complete a neuroagility profile is that you find out about dominance, right? You find out about your preferences, your learning preferences. You find out about how you process and take in information. Are you expressive, which means that you're using the front part of the brain, or are you receptive? There are some people, they just get quiet as they take in the information. Some people, as they take in information, they need to express themselves because that is how they learn. So already that, for example, will help us to stop saying that people are talkative or people are shy and introverted, as if that's a problem. We all have a neurological design, which I'll refer to now as neurodesign. Everybody is unique, and it's not a wrong, right, better, bad, good situation. It is what it is, because with who you are, with the insights you get from the profile, that's how you operate. That's how you can improve. That's how you can learn. That's how you can grow. Another thing that you get, another insight is, let's say we use this profile in talent development, talent selection. Wouldn't it be great to be able to put people, assign them roles that really uses their strengths? And so an insight that we get is not answering the question, are you smart? But answering the question, how are you smart? Okay, so Howard Gardner showed that there are different ways of being intelligent. You don't have to be all. I mean, the way Albert Einstein was intelligent may not be the way Oprah Winfrey is intelligent, or the way somebody like what's the Jamie Oliver. He's more like touching, cooking. Yeah, but he is also intelligent in his own way. And that's the thing you can see. And I think when it comes to job satisfaction and well-being, that follows by feeling satisfied and the kind of mindset that goes with that. It really helps when you're doing more of what you're good at than struggling with things you're not good at and trying to make those things better. Unnecessary struggle, I would say. So
Okay.
that's another insight that we find. We also find, like, how is it? Are people thinkers, or are people feelers? That's very important. How do you listen, right? The left ear doesn't listen to the same thing as the right ear. Do you listen to what is said, the facts, the information, or do you listen to how things are said? We negotiate, we have meetings with people, we brainstorm, we make decisions. Your ability to do that and to understand how other people are doing it starts with knowing that, okay, this person says a lot like the way you said that. So I can infer that this person listens to how things are said and is not listening much to what is said, for example. So that's just a little insight into you can see how success happens not just because, okay, yeah, you could be lucky. I don't know, you buy a lottery a lottery ticket and you win. But to be honest, I think success has a formula. And that formula has to be flexible. It has to be a living formula, not one that is just rigid, static, and doesn't allow for anything to be removed or added. And I really, that is very important, because when we talk about growth, what does growth mean? To me, it's all about knowing that when I'm 35, I can absolutely feel okay that I don't behave and speak the way I did when I was 20. And that's okay. That's growth. I don't have to feel bad about it. You can only operate with what you know and with what you have acquired as a skill, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So to be successful is a combination of things. The more you understand it and the more you act on it. It's not just knowing, you know. It's easy to say, yes, have a growth mindset. I want to, in my work, I'm more about like, what does that mean in action? Let's go beyond the script. The script is be open. Well-being is good. Have a cup of tea. Is there more I can do? And we've got insights in the world today that helps us do that.
Well, that leads perfectly into my next question, because I was wondering what results people have seen after completing your neuro agility program.
So I love success stories. I think everybody does. I think when you meet someone who is struggling, who just feels like, that whole human essence is stuck and nothing is happening. And then all of a sudden, after deep work, hard work, this is not something you can change in a day. Things change. I worked with a client that was very stressed, a high performer, very confident in, what he did, and somehow also felt that others don't work the way he does. He didn't understand why they wouldn't reason with things that came to him naturally. It made common sense. Why don't they understand it? And as a result, the relationship and leading others was challenging. Everything felt difficult. There was miscommunication, misunderstandings, a whole array of unresourcefulness. And he wanted change. He couldn't delegate because he didn't trust anyone. And of course, when he said things, he really didn't feel that his team members were really listening, or, they were more defensive than actually wanting to collaborate. And he wanted the difference. What is it that I'm doing? What can I change? Why don't they listen to me? And then starting the work with him made us go through the whole thing, that everything you want to change starts with you, and then to be precise with the brain. So let's meet the brain. Okay, what's happening in you? Because what you don't understand in yourself, you won't be able to understand that in others. If you don't feel safe, then you can be sure that they don't feel safe. There are things called mirror neurons. I may be doing something, I may fold my arm, and then somebody may not even notice that they're folding their arm too, right? So we imitate, we read, we read, put in information, we draw information from what we think is going on, and that's all guesswork. So the whole process started with neuroagility. Who are you? How are you wired? What's your natural design? And why do you approach things in certain ways? And which other skills, like, sure, you may be, your profile may show you that you are left brain, left brain hemisphere dominant, so facts, language, but we want to be whole-brained people. So now that I know, oh, left, okay, what are the skills that I need to develop so that I'm more rounded in how I use my brain? And that is another insight that I worked on with this client. We then moved on to understanding that, other people have exactly the same thing. We found out, how do you listen? And he listened a lot to what was said. And I said, you see, you can't really get enough information if you only listen to what is said. It helps to add to that how things are said. So it's about being A and B, not A or B when it comes to the brain. Left and right, expressive and receptive, a thinker and a feeler. And this makes you better in yourself, makes you better when leading and communicating and understanding others. We worked on that. And then we also worked on emotional agility, emotional mastery. It was something he didn't approach before. And I said, well, you need to know that, because it's part of why you make decisions the way you make decisions. You're not being able to trust. Do you think that that's related to an emotion? Your inability to
That's a good point.
delegate.
Yeah.
What do you think that's connected to?
Yeah.
The way you just close your door and just say, I don't care about them, I'm going to do all the work myself. It is obviously something that you are feeling, and your feeling and your interpretation of it is how you are behaving, and your behavior is making you stressed. So you are literally the director of that movie. And it's okay to course correct. This was something like, oh, but how do I change it? I've been like that for years. Okay, it doesn't matter. We've got neuroplasticity. The brain is not like a static stone. You can change. You can identify new habits, new pathways, and you can start saying it's like a field. He had to understand that he had been walking on the left side of the field, and so the grass on that path was trodden and dead. I said, now we're going to stop walking that direction. Let's just take another one. And it may be a bit rocky, but just keep on walking in a different direction. And that made all the difference. That he understood you can course correct. And the more you do it, the more confident you will become. But also the people will now get used to it. They will trust it that like this is not just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
It's here to stay. So change is not something you can do in one day. And learning that. And then we talked about his language, how he spoke, and the chemicals. I said, what you trigger is what is felt. So be aware of your language. Is what you're saying triggering the release of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, or a lot of cortisol every day, every week, every month, every year? It will lead to people skipping work. It will lead to people simply not caring about their tasks. It will impact performance and productivity, well-being, and it will impact your results negatively. So we did that. He learned that. And then we also went to now that you've got self-awareness, emotional agility, emotional mastery, you've got emotional literacy, now you've got regulation. Now let's try empathy. What can you allow for yourself with compassion and without evaluation, accepting yourself the way you are designed, and understanding that if you can do it for yourself, you can do it for others. And that allows room for collaboration. After 3 months, he said to me that his team members were starting to whisper that, why? They didn't trust the change. After 6 months of him really feeling so happy about the difference he observed after 3 months, it just motivated him because he understood, wow, I feel like a weight's off me. And so after we worked together for a year, after a year, he was a different person. He said, I am a brain-friendly leader. He says, when I talk, when I act, when I want to make a decision, I always think of, is this brain-friendly? And so that
Yeah,
was
I was just
just
going to say what I absolutely love about the relationship you built with him, and what he was able to achieve. There was clearly something within him. There was a self-awareness that something had to change. When a client learns or acquires the knowledge that you share with them about that self-awareness, is there then a capacity for them and for you to deliver a program to their people?
absolutely. I created the brainification methodology and system, which is a culmination of all those things and much more that I mentioned. And so this can sometimes teams they really say, look, we need to work on communication. And it's sort of a combination of emotional mastery, emotional intelligence, some aspects of it, and we will work on only that. Some people want to work on the whole thing to have like a rounded overview and really practical brain driven strategies and tools to be able to adapt. And it's not like a rigid thing. It's flexible, you know. I always say how you respond or react is up to you. There's no one way to respond and there's no one way to react, but just being aware of that. So I created that method so that some people say, I want to go from, you know, number one to the end. Some people say, I want to focus on that area because that's where I struggle. So the program can be broken down into its different modules, or it can be done in its entirety.
Okay, so just so I've got, I love the ingredients. I just want to check on how it would work for me then as a business owner. So I'm a business owner. I come to you and I say to you, I really like what you're offering here with this brainification program. But how does that program, how would that program be delivered for me? What does that actually look like?
There will be an assessment, a talk, you know, get to understand your business, get to understand who are you working with, where do you feel you've got challenges. So once that's understood, I would then start with the neuroagility profile. It's always the brain first, right? Because everything that is not working is because of something you don't understand about your brain. Literally.
So just let me just pause you there, just so I understand the neuroagility profile. So is that something that each of my team will do individually, like
Absolutely.
a report? Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah. So everybody involved in whatever needs to be optimized will start with a neuroagility profile. It's very important that everybody gets to know themselves. And then there will be a group debriefing. So there are the individual debriefings, or there can be a group debriefing where everybody sort of has their profile in front of them. And then I can also conduct a group session where everybody starts to understand, like, now I see why I struggle with that. It's no pinpointing. It's not a bad or good thing. It's just like, wow, you are a doer and I am a counselor. So I am, of course, human before facts, but you're more like fact and do. And now I see why there is why we have clashes in the way we communicate with each other. The brain is the most inclusive and diverse asset we humans have. I think it makes a difference when a doer understands, okay, you are a strategist. I've seen this in group debriefings, and the doer just has this aha moment. Wow, you are a strategist. That's why every time I ask you, how is that supposed to be done? You can't give me an answer because you don't see it that way. And so I don't need to be stressed with you. I understand, okay, you give me the picture, and with the picture you give me, I will do. Just like the strategist has to understand, okay, you're more about information, facts, that has to be done. And I need to be careful and try to make sure that I give you as much information as I can possibly give you to ease and facilitate your work. That is, for example, a wonderful difference. Let's say it's what you want to work on is communication and team cohesion or conflict resolution. You know, it makes a difference because
Massive.
whatever you want to resolve, it's not just one person. Everyone involved has to put in effort to make that happen.
Well, this sounds amazing because you've got the individual feeding in with their profile.
Exactly.
You're then looking at that in relation to the group and what everyone in the group
Exactly.
brings to the table.
Exactly. And there's no judgment, right? Because we are not guessing. It's black on white. You can't fail who you are. If you answer the question, it's not a test. It's a lifestyle and way of operating with ease and just knowing that, wow, I play an active role in what becomes.
That's fantastic. That would make such a difference. Omezua, thank you so much for your time today. It's been
Thank you very
amazing talking
much.
to you. Always so insightful.
That's it for today. As I always say, remember, transformation is a choice, and being the CEO of your brain is up to you. Bye for now.